Hello and welcome to the third installment of the tutorial series. So in this video I'm once again playing as the US faction for familiarity, and again we're going to start with our regular infantry squad.
In progress!
And I just want to recap on a
Yes,
feature
sir.
that I had talked about briefly in the last video, which is the examine system. So,
Yes, sir.
as we've already talked about, each infantry soldier has their own inventory, and really every unit in the game does, for that matter. And
Got
with
it, sir.
infantry and vehicles and anything you can um, uh, move around, essentially,
User
you can
joined your channel.
easily
User left your
um,
channel.
In
have them
progress.
interact with other units and trade inventory items. And you do this using the examine uh, feature, which you can either use using this button down here in the bottom right, or use the shortcut, which is X. So you click X and you get this eye icon pop up when you mouse over another unit, and I will click this SMG infantry, and so now my rifleman that I had selected has this green circle around him, shaded green, and the SMG soldier has a a hollow green circle around him, and this is indicating that the rifleman is now sharing his inventory with that SMG soldier. And you can see here, I've got the rifleman on the left and the SMG soldier on the right, and it's now going to allow me to swap items back and forth. The easiest way to do that, although you can, left click and drag, uh, simply right clicking will swap back and forth. And you can see here, you've got that little inventory, that little ammo symbol popping up over the soldier's head. Whichever unit is receiving equipment, they'll get a little pop up over their head. So this especially
Yes,
comes
sir.
into handy when your squad starts running low on ammo. So just for demonstration, I'm gonna pull out a ammo truck here, and an ammo truck's just one of those units that's kind of universal between all the factions. So it's pretty much going to be the same between all of them. Just the truck will look different. And this is the small arms ammo truck. You can note that by the little MG box here, whereas the next one up would be heavy ammunition and then engineering, and we'll get into that in a different video. But the small arms truck has anything you need to equip, re-equip any of your infantry. So to
Yes, sir.
re-equip a squad, so let's select the whole
Got
squad
it,
here.
sir.
So that's a handy little feature there. I
Got it,
probably didn't
sir.
mention that before, but in group, when you have multiple squads, you can regroup them without having to box the whole
Yes, sir.
squad. You can actually hold shift, and you can see when I mouse over this other squad, I get the little plus next to my mouse cursor there. I can simply click
Yes, sir.
and reselect the entire group. So just wanted to point that out. That comes in handy, especially when you want to group units that may be in different parts of the map. So right now, this rifleman here is acting as my
Yes, sir.
squad leader. So I'm going to go ahead and hit X and examine the supply truck. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so now you'll see I have the solid green around the squad leader. So he is the one who is actually interacting with the ammo truck. However, what's actually going to happen, if I click this rifle ammo here, right
Give me
click it,
rounds.
you can see I got a whole bunch of ammo symbols above all of my riflemen. So Men of War actually helps you out by uh, equally distributing ammo to your soldiers. What has happened is any soldier that has a rifle equipped as his primary weapon has now received an equal share of that ammunition. So if I X out of here, I can
Got
see
it,
my
sir.
squad leader now has another 4 clips of ammo.
Got it, sir.
My one of my riflemen now has another 3.
Got it, sir.
This rifleman has an extra 3.
Yes, sir.
This rifleman has. So you can see it has equally
Yes, sir.
distributed that between my soldiers.
We'll do that.
Now, another little tip that you may not have noticed
In
is that
progress.
while I've got a rifleman inventory open here, you can actually see each rifleman is
Got it,
carrying 50 rounds
sir.
of MG ammo,
Yes, sir.
which
Got it,
is
sir.
important to remember, especially since your machine gunner should be
Yes,
laying
sir.
down the most suppressive fire, and they will tend to run out of ammo earlier. So your
Yes,
riflemen
sir.
actually
Got it,
carry a
sir.
little extra ammo with them, as opposed to SMGs, which carry extra grenades. Most notably an AT and a smoke grenade. So uh, we'll get more into the ups and downs of the different types of infantry in a different video. So now another
Got it, sir.
squad tactic here is you can actually we talked about before the F1 and F2 keys are actually tied to AP anti-personnel and AT anti-tank grenades. But if you have a squad selected, you can actually multiple click F1. So you can click F1, and let's say we want to click this hill, and then we click slightly to the right, hitting F1 each time. And you can see the closest infantry that has that type of grenade will actually throw it to that spot. So I've effectively thrown multiple grenades, and I can wreak a lot of havoc there. And the same goes for F2 with AT grenades.
Go! Try this. We'll do that.
So
Yes, sir.
we can
Got it, sir.
quickly throw
Yes, sir.
multiple grenades
Got it, sir.
in an area that we want to just blow the piss out of. You know, there's a whole squad over that hill,
Yes,
and
sir.
we just need to just annihilate them. Just throw grenades. The other
Yes, sir.
important perk to using those F keys is, let's say I have this SMG soldier behind
Yes,
this
sir.
hill, and let's say a truck or a tank is coming down the road. I have a feeling a truck or a tank might be in hold fire mode and driving down this
Got
hill
it, sir.
any minute now.
Yes, sir.
And the AI usually is pretty smart. They might pull out their AT grenade. They might have it ready. I could click here and have it ready.
Hooray!
But if I hit F2, he's gonna already pull out his AT grenade because he's waiting for me to click the ground. But let's say I just hit control and go straight into direct fire mode. Now I can pinpoint throw that grenade
We'll do
and
that.
not hit the truck, but you know that happens. And well, you know, let's say I just was gonna steal that truck anyway, and yeah, now I can take all his ammo out of it. But ideally, I would have nailed the front of that truck if I had a little better aim and timing, and just blown it to pieces. So hitting those F keys will actually make your soldiers pull out those grenades quickly without you having to use the manual
Yes,
control.
sir.
Oh, and it looks like I get another shot here.
Yes,
Well,
sir. Got it, sir.
I see there. I selected my squad. I hit F2. I noticed I had an SMG soldier here who still had a grenade, and of course all the surprise is lost now. But you know, this time I'm just gonna nail the crap out of it and just blow the piss out of everybody. So that's the handy features of the F keys. Just for demonstration purposes, I want to show AT infantry, and
Yes, sir.
just because F4 is tied to any
Got it,
AT
sir.
weaponry that you might have in a squad. So right now I have this AT squad selected. I can hit F4 and it functions the same. My bazooka man here has quickly pulled out his bazooka, and I can either click the ground where I want him to shoot and hit spacebar and tell him to reload, or after hitting F4 to have him pull out his bazooka, I can quickly hold control and aim for him, which typically with bazookas you're always going to want to do, just because they tend
Yes,
to.
sir.
Oops. Oh,
Yes,
it
sir.
sounds like I'm going to be able to use my bazooka.
Got it, sir.
Well, my helpful friend Chels has gone
Get ready
gone
for the
and
fire
outdone
signal.
himself.
Fire! For the motherland! Hooray!
So typically, if that was a real enemy tank coming down the
In
road,
progress.
I'd hide my squad,
For
tell them to
Uncle
run back
Sam!
here and hit the deck,
Got it, sir.
select my bazooka man, hit F4 so he can stop being stupid and pull out his bazooka. I'd wait for this tank to come by. My support bazooka guy is gonna finish the job here.
Yes, sir.
So those F keys, those are, split second. Hey, pull out this, whether it be an AP grenade, AT grenade, bazooka, or even healing.
In
So
progress.
this AT support guy is injured, so I'll go ahead and hit F8, and that will tell him to start healing himself. So that kind of is just all I wanted to say
Yes,
about
sir.
the F keys for now. Let's go ahead and take our squad, change
Got it,
position
sir.
here, get them standing. And so now I want to emphasize a very, very common um, mistake that new players make, which is to overuse the sprint command. The sprint command is, or as I call it, the doom command, is when you double right click to move. Okay, typically you
We'll
just
do
single
that.
right click and your soldiers will move, and they will actually engage any enemy that they come across. Okay, when you double right click, and if you note here, the stamina bar, this green bar below the red health bar,
Yes, sir.
when you sprint, that stamina goes down, and your soldiers sprint. All right, yeah, that's all well and good. However, also when they sprint, they ignore all enemy fire.
Yes, sir.
So I have a sneaky suspicion there's an MG42 that's going to set itself up behind some rock walls and allow me to
Yes,
demonstrate
sir.
the perils of sprinting
Got it,
to
sir.
their enemies.
We'll do that.
So yeah, I'm just going to move my soldiers in, and I'm just going to be careless, and I'm going to double right click somewhere over here, just because I want them to move over that way. And they're sprinting and sprinting and
Let's give 'em
sprinting,
fire.
and they're sprinting and
Yes, sir.
sprinting, and well,
Yes.
okay, that wasn't a very good demo. Let's try that again. I feel I have some editing in my future,
Yes, sir.
or I might just leave that in for comic relief. Alright, so let's
Got
come
it,
back
sir.
here. Let's tell them to go prone, which, by the way, will make them recover their stamina the fastest. Crouching recovers slightly faster, prone recovers the fastest, so let's tell them to get back up.
Yes, sir.
And we're just going to be super careless and sprint over this hill. That we now perfectly know that there's an MG42 there, but let's see we don't. So they're just sprinting and sprinting, and they just don't give a crap about that
Fire
MG42.
infantry. Yes, sir.
Of course, they managed to make it there, but I've lost now,
I don't have rounds.
most of my squad. and some of them are about ready to fall over dead
Got
as
it,
it
sir.
is. So do not sprint into an area that you do not already know what's ahead of you. Yeah, you'll just be sprinting to your death. The only time you want to effectively use a sprint is if you have a you have a safe spotted destination that you just need to get to quickly,
In
or you're
progress.
trying to get away from something like a tank or just an overwhelming force.
We'll do
The
that.
sprint is good for escape, and you're actually a lot harder to hit when your infantry are harder to hit when they're sprinting, which makes it even more
User joined your
practical
channel.
for getting away. So if you do find yourself sprinting to your doom, there's two easy ways to quickly stop yourself. When you're there's the all-powerful cancel command, which works with most move orders, attack orders, examine. The cancel command will stop whatever that unit is doing and return them to their regular mode. So you can hit Shift F when they're sprinting. Shift F, they immediately stop and stand still. What I usually like to do, F is a little farther away from my hand, so I'll actually, if they're sprinting and I need them to stop, I'll hit Z to crouch. So that's my stance down hotkey, and then once they crouch, they're back in full engagement mode again. Sprint has its uses. Definitely is useful for getting away or for quickly moving up, but you need to be able to snap out of it quickly, especially if you didn't do your due diligence and get line of sight of where you're going.
Yes, sir.
So the last part of this video, I want to talk about moving up and just kind of how you can effectively gain ground and get that line of sight that you really need to be effective in this game.
Got it, sir.
User disconnected from your channel.
So to do that, you need to utilize soft cover. Now, not all cover is hard cover. Not all cover is brick walls and stone hedges and, things that are impenetrable to bullets. But things like bushes and trees and hillsides offer what's called soft cover, which means, yeah, you're not impervious to fire, but you're a lot harder to see.
Got it, sir.
So, let's say I take this SMG soldier, and I mouse over these bushes here. Yeah, so this patch of bushes, and I get the little silhouette, and I just tell him to get into these bushes, and I'm going to tell him to go prone. Okay? That's all well and good. However, in order for him to stay concealed, he has to hold his fire. Right now, he is in fire at will mode. Okay, that means if he sees any soft targets that he can affect with his submachine gun here, he will open fire. And oh, by the way, that includes tank commanders on top of tanks. So yes, this guy will lay here and just willy-nilly start opening fire on a tank commander who's manning an MG-42 on top of a Panzer IV and just get himself blown all to bits. The way we stop him from doing that is we use the firing modes. Okay, so you have either fire at will, hold fire, or return fire. Now, there's many different reasons for using different fire modes in different scenarios. You kind of just have to get a feel for it, but generally, if you're just setting down some flank cover, you just want a guy watching your flank, so you can see if somebody's sneaking up on you. That's when you're going to want to use return fire mode, or at least I do. What's going to happen is, even if that flanking soldier or troops spots this guy in the bush, which if they get close enough they will, and shoot at him, he will automatically return fire.
Yes, sir.
And disable is when you want to hide somebody,
Got it,
and
sir.
you know that there's going to be crossfire flying over their head. So this is useful if you're, as my friend Charles pointed out, if you're trying to cap a point,
Yes, sir.
and you want your soldier to just stay prone and just do not reveal himself by firing, even though there's fire going over his head, then you would use hold fire. If you had him on return fire, then he would just shoot at the first enemy soldier that shot near or over him, and reveal himself.
Got it,
This
sir.
is especially important if you're using smoke. So
Yes,
I just
sir.
want to talk
Yes, sir.
about now smoke use, since that ties into firing mode. I mean, you really can't effectively use smoke unless you are using your fire modes properly. Smoke is very useful.
Yes, sir.
But you have to think about it in the right way. Smoke pretty much is just a big bush. Okay, it's soft cover. Okay, it will reveal you, just like bushes will, but not if you're shooting. As soon as you start shooting, you're toast. You're revealing yourself. And in most cases
Yes,
with
sir.
smoke, you're using it in a big open area where there is no cover, and you're just asking yourself to get annihilated. So smoke grenades, which your SMG and squad leaders will be carrying, is tied to the F3 key,
Got it,
and
sir.
almost always you're just gonna hit F3 and toss these things. So if I tap F3 here twice,
Try this.
once here, my
Let's give 'em
SMG and
fire.
even well actually my AT support infantry, who's actually a SMG, is gonna each throw a smoke grenade, and you always want to wait for that stuff to cook off for a couple seconds till it's nice and billowy. And I almost always go prone and crawl through here. Um, your three
Got it, sir.
stances, out of your three stances, prone crawling is the lowest visibility. Well, I should say prone still is the lowest visibility. Prone crawling is the next one up. Then of course crouching, then standing
Yes,
still,
sir.
then jogging, and then sprinting. So you got all those different levels of visibility. Typically, you're always going to want to crawl through smoke with either return fire or hold fire. If it's a area that you know you're going to come under fire, if you're spotted, or if somebody behind your squad is spotted, then you want to hold fire. If it's an area that you're just not sure about and you just want the extra cover, return fire is probably good. And
Yes,
like
sir.
I said, you have to just kind of get a feel for it as you get more experience. And so, lastly, if my friend Charles could put a MG42 in the same place he had one before,
Got it, sir.
I want to show a very underutilized feature of infantry tactics that
Got
I
it, sir.
find very useful, which is suppressive fire.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
So I'm gonna get my SMG
Yes,
troops
sir.
out of here, and I'm just gonna set up a what you call a fire team.
Yes, sir.
So here I've got a whole bunch of riflemen and my bar gunner. I'm gonna set them here behind some hard cover.
Yes, sir. Shoot us out there. Go!
And so my friend Charles here has
Get ready for
been
the
kind
fight.
enough to
Yes, sir.
set an MG42 up, and we can see that MG42 is shooting at my troops, and they are not in any hurry to shoot back.
Got
Okay?
it, sir.
So what is happening here is my troops are being suppressed.
Got it, sir.
Okay, and I'm going to try to do the same back to him with a superior amount of fire. So I'm going to take my fire team, I'm going to hit F5, and I know the machine gunner's here, and I'm going to go ahead and click there and say,
Sir.
all my troops open fire.
Yes, sir.
All my troops. And now that MG42 is keeping his head down.
Got it, sir.
I'm going to lose a couple troops, I'm sure.
Get fire.
I've moved up this team. Oh, of course,
Yes,
my friend
sir.
Charles is probably direct controlling.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't work if you direct control, Charles. Well,
Got it, sir.
as you can see right there, the MG42. Yeah. Oh, I see. Well, the algorithms are a little tricky, but essentially, if you could put
Aim is
more
in the reach
firepower on your target, more suppressive fire, then they are putting on you. And as you saw, they will duck their head down. Now, they could duck their head down for a couple seconds,
Yes, sir.
for half a minute. It seems like when I have my troops under suppression, but
We'll do that.
they will keep their head down and allow you to rush them, throw some smoke, flank them, get close enough for a
Got it,
grenade,
sir.
what have you. So you can see here I'm manually controlling and firing,
For Uncle Sam.
or I can go ahead and say suppressive fire, and now that machine gunner
Yes,
keeping his
sir.
head down. I'm able to get my rifleman just close enough, and I can toss a grenade
In your
now
face.
while
Ahead.
staying covered behind this brick wall and effectively take out that machine gunner. Because I left my rifleman there in prone and crawled, which is what I should have done with the troops I had just sent to their death. He stayed out of visibility, and the machine gunner didn't feel as threatened. It kept its head down longer, and I was able to keep him suppressed. So that's another thing, and I haven't even
Yes, sir.
completely mastered that myself, I admit. But the suppressive fire in this game is effective if you can learn how to do it properly. And you can even combine smoke in there and shoot through the smoke and use that, because as long as the soldiers that are flanking aren't shooting, they will be consumed by the smoke, while your fire team, it doesn't matter if they're revealed. So there's a lot of tactics and strategy
Yes,
that can
sir.
come into play there. And I invite you to play with it and try out some strategies. I mean, it's not all just, it doesn't have to all be just build sandbags and hope that you can get a mortar out before the other guy. There are ways to defeat sandbags, or even get a sniper out. There are ways to defeat hard emplacement without having to employ expensive units or overwhelming force to take those points. So I hope that inspires you to use those features. That suppressive fire, your smoke, setting the proper fire modes, using that soft cover to your advantage, and not overusing the sprint command, and using those F key shortcuts to your advantage.
Got it, sir.
And I think that's about all I want to cover in this video. And I hope I'll see you for the more advanced video in the future.